Hey friends, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk with you about gardening. I want to talk about the different benefits that I have found from having my own little backyard garden over the last 2 to 3 years. And it's really just interesting to me. I started it really as a hobby and as something that just brought me a lot of joy. And it's been a very beautiful thing for me to realize that it actually offers me so many more benefits than I ever even realized. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. This podcast is for moms who are parenting differently abled children. Maybe you desire to switch to a more natural lifestyle to improve your family's health, but you have no idea where to start. You're longing for more routines and time, but every time you try to implement those tips that you've spent hours researching, you realize that they don't work for your family dynamics. Hi, I'm Ashley. In this podcast, we will focus on implementing routines, switching to a more natural lifestyle, and uprooting those old mindsets that are keeping you stuck, so that you can plant yourself firmly in the truth that Jesus offers you. Our focus will be on creating small, customizable changes that will build upon one another over time to create real impact in your life. If you want to hear from a mama who has been raising several children with special needs and who knows how important it is to do this in a way that's sustainable and that doesn't add to your overwhelm, then this is the podcast for you. Pop in those earbuds, reheat that coffee for the third time, and let's go. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and get started with the different benefits that I have seen from gardening. So the first thing would be that we're obviously getting exercise and moving our body, exercising, building strength by shoveling and, just the different types of things that we have to do while gardening. Like the other day, I shoveled multiple loads of mulch because I was trying to build up a new garden bed. And so that gave me a good 30 minutes of exercise. And what I love about this is because a lot of times when you're out there working in the garden, you are exercising, but it doesn't really feel like exercising, especially if you can grow things that you enjoy. So if you really like certain kinds, like for me, I love to grow random varieties, like heirloom varieties that I cannot pick up at the store. And I love to grow things that maybe it's like a radish, but like it's a radish that looks like a watermelon, and just different kinds of random squash that I could never find anywhere else. And I'm really excited to see what it tastes like. So if I grow stuff like that or beautiful flowers, I love flowers. And I'm growing things that I enjoy. So I'm making a space that I actually enjoy to get out and go and just spend time in. Then I'm getting exercise and I am strengthening my body, but I'm doing it in a way that doesn't really feel like exercise. And we know that exercise is excellent for mental health. It's excellent as like a mood lifter. It's just so good for just our general physical health as well. So for me, whenever I know that I can basically get multiple benefits from gardening, and one of them would be that I'm getting exercise that doesn't actually feel like exercise. It just feels like something that is really rewarding to me and something that's very life-giving to me, I consider that a major win. So the first thing for me would be the fact that you're getting exercise. The second thing would be the fact that you're also, if you're out there gardening during the day and your skin is being exposed to the sunlight, then you're getting vitamin D. Our body, our skin specifically, actually uses the sunlight to make vitamin D. Vitamin D is a hormone that has been shown to possibly regulate both mood and also decrease depression. And a lot of times you'll see things like seasonal affective disorder. And there has been some talk about possibly the part of that is the fact that in the winter months, we're really not getting out in the sunshine enough. And so therefore, when our vitamin D levels are lower, we are struggling more with those feelings of depression and lack of energy and all of these different feelings that people who struggle with seasonal affective disorder, they have more of that tendency to feel more depressed and more down during these winter months, when they're not getting as much exposure to sunlight. And again, I fall back to the same thing. Like you're getting out there and you're getting sunlight, but you're doing it with an activity that feels very just life-giving. It feels like something that it's like a hobby. It's not something that is a chore that, oh my goodness, I have to do this again. And there have actually been studies done on gardening to show it will actually improve your mood and increase your self-esteem, which I find very interesting. And when I think about it, it really does make sense because it does feel very rewarding to get outside, to work with your hands, to put forth physical labor And then to see the fruits of that whenever, if you're planting seeds, the seed starts to sprout, or even if you get plant starts, but then you start to produce the fruit off of that plant. It is such a rewarding and just very validating feeling whenever you're like, I did this myself. I grew this and now my family can eat it. So it makes perfect sense to me that it would help to boost your self-esteem, because it's just you feel very accomplished whenever you go outside and you plant something, you tend to it, you nurture it, and then you finally can bring that into your house and feed it to your family. And the mood part makes perfect sense as well, because we're, like we talked about, you're getting that exposure to vitamin D, you're getting exercise, which is going to boost your mood as well. So I was doing a little bit of digging while I was getting ready for this episode, and I just found it really interesting that studies had actually shown that it would in fact boost your self-esteem and your mood to get out and to garden. And if that's something that you really struggle with, I feel like it's a very simple, tangible way to get out and to do something that is going to help you to feel better. And it, like I've said before, it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be this massive undertaking. You can start small. You can start with like a green stalk planter. And I do talk about this in episode 11. I just touch on the fact of how simple it can be to actually get started gardening. So I feel like if that is something, depression or just low energy, low motivation, low self-esteem, these are things that can feel very impossible. It can feel like such a big mountain to climb. And so if you could find a way that is very simple, that is very easy to get started, to make some kind of forward motion on that. And of course, if you are really struggling with depression and things like that, always consult with your doctor too. But I'm not offering medical advice here. What I am talking about are things that you can do to start making some kind of forward motion just to feel better. And so I think that that's such a beautiful, super easy thing that you could do. It has so many multiple benefits that to me, I just feel like if you could just get started with trying and seeing and finding things that you love to grow, even if it's not vegetables, even if it's flowers, but it's flowers that are going to make your heart happy, then start with those. Another benefit to having a garden is also the fact that it gives you a social connection. So this could come in various ways. It could be that maybe you have a community garden. And so maybe you don't necessarily have enough space in your backyard and you don't want to grow in containers on your patio or something like that. But there is a place in your community, or maybe you're going to rent some land or whatever it is. Maybe work out a deal with someone where they're going to let you grow on their land and they will be able to keep part of the harvest. There are just so many different ways, but you could build community in that way of just actually growing food with other people. On top of that, not only with people outside of your home, but also in your home. I have found it to be a great hobby that has been very bonding for myself and my family, and it gives us an opportunity to work on stuff together. So it's also building family bonds, which I love as well. But then there is also the fact that you have a shared interest with other people. So you can find other people who love to garden, and then you can talk with them about that. That gives you something just to chat back and forth with each other. And especially like right now, we're getting into the growing season. So I love talking with my sister about gardening, and I find we are frequently chatting back and forth, like, what are you growing, or what are you doing with this, or how should I do that? Just asking questions back and forth. It gives you something to talk about with other people. And so a lot of times we get so busy in our day-to-day caring for our kids that we forget to reach out to other people. And this gives us a perfect opportunity and a perfect reason to be able to say, oh, I guess I should reach out to them and ask them about how do I start this specific seed? Or, hey, I'm so excited because I got my plant starts in and I'm about to plant them in the ground. Or snapping a picture and showing them what it is that you've planted. There's just so many different opportunities for us to be able to build community and connection with each other around this topic of gardening. Another benefit is also the fact that when you're out there and you're digging in the dirt and you are in the soil, you're actually exposing yourself to microbes that are in the soil, which is going to boost the immune system. There have also been studies on this showing that it is possible that as you're being exposed to that dirt, those microbes in there, your body's also being exposed to them, and it could possibly boost your immune system, which is just a wonderful thing. That's why I love for my kids to get out into the garden with me and just get their hands in the dirt and help me do stuff, even if they're not really helping me, but they're just playing, but they think they're helping me. You know how that goes with small children. I just love for them to have that exposure for multiple reasons. But one of them is the fact that I know they are being exposed to all of the different microbes are in that soil. And I love that. Another benefit in the area of physical health, besides the fact that we're getting that exposure to the microbes in the soil, would also be the fact that we obviously can provide our family with nutritious food. So you're typically going to be more likely to offer your family the fruits and vegetables that you have grown whenever you've put all of that hard work into actually getting them to the point where they can be eaten. So that might mean that you are going to end up offering more vegetables or more fruits to your children throughout the day. I've also shared how, in episode 11, how my kids have actually been more willing to try the foods, like the fruits and vegetables, that they would not try if I bought them from the store, because they are helping me in the garden and they're helping me to grow these foods. And so it's just very intriguing to them. They feel more comfortable with it. And so all around, it just helps my family to be able to have more nutritious foods. I'm in control of what is or is not sprayed on my fruits and vegetables. I'm in control of what kind of soil I'm growing them in. I'm in control of everything. If I want to use more organic practices, I can do that. And I do. It is allowing me more of a say in the nutritious foods that my family is getting. But also, I just find that if I've worked really hard to grow all of these vegetables, I want them to be eaten. I don't want them to be wasted. And I don't know about you, but if I go to the store and I get a bag of lettuce, it's often going to sit, I'm going to forget about it, and it's going to rot. I know we all do that. It can't be just me. So I just find it's like more of a responsibility. I feel like a personal responsibility to make sure that I steward the stuff that I grow really well. And it just encourages me to offer my kids more stuff. And then, like I said, then there's that beautiful connection of it encourages them to eat more. And it's just such a positive benefit, especially as I've talked many times on this podcast about how we can have various food struggles with our kids. Whenever we can find ways to give them nutrition in a way that feels easy, that feels stress-free, I'm all about that. I want to do more of that. And the last thing that I would say would also be in the area of kids and the fact that it is a great learning experience for my children. I homeschool my kids, and so we can use gardening. There are so many lessons we can get out of the garden. It just made me laugh so much because a few days ago, we were outside in the yard. I was working on garden stuff. My kids were all around and a bee came up and all my kids were like, "It's a bee. There are helpers." And, I had this like proud mama moment because I'm like, yay, the things that I've been teaching them, like it's sticking with them. They remember that I talked about how bees pollinate our plants and help our vegetables to grow and help our flowers to grow. And there's just so many different things. Like we can talk about seeds, like what happens when we plant a seed and go through the different cycles of that. We can talk about why photosynthesis. There are just so many different lessons that you can get from the garden as far as like education wise. But then there are also just practical life lessons that we can offer our children. And the beautiful thing is that we can offer these lessons to them. If you have a kinesthetic learner, the garden is the perfect place for your child to learn because they can do things alongside you and they can learn things with you. They can help you. They're getting that movement out. They're outside in the sunshine. They're outside in nature. It's just a very, very beneficial environment. If you have a child who just learns differently, they're more of that out of the box learner. It's a beautiful environment to put them in and to help them to learn. You can get so creative about the different topics that you're going to talk about while you're out there. And really, the ideas you can come up with are honestly just endless. So that is really the main things. I really believe there are more, but this is what just came to my head, just right off the top of my head, the things that I have experienced in my home and the things that I have found to be true for my family. If you garden, I would love to know. Tell me what it is that you're excited about growing this year. We're coming up, like I said earlier, we're coming upon the season of like planting. It depends on what zone you're in, but we're coming upon that time where we're starting to plant. I've already planted stuff. I've had seeds growing, started in my house for weeks now, and I'm just getting so excited about it. And so I thought this is the perfect time to share and just to encourage you to consider starting some kind of little garden. Like I said, it doesn't have to be complicated. Go back and listen to episode 11, where I talk more about how you can do this in a very simple way that doesn't feel like it's going to take hours and hours a day. You can start small and then grow. Every year I have expanded my garden. That's like I said, that's what I was doing the other day when I was shoveling all that mulch, is I was expanding my garden. So just start small. But I just want to encourage you, if it's something that you haven't thought about doing, really just pray on it and see if the Lord puts it in your heart to start a little garden this year, to get a green stalk planter, and to just start growing a few things in it. It can be super simple, but it can also be so beneficial. So I can't wait to hear from you, and I will see you back on Thursday. Hey, before you go, if you found value in today's episode or you learned something new, would you take a minute to share with someone else that you know would be blessed by it? I would also love it if you would leave me a review. This lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and I love hearing from you. You can connect with me further over on Facebook or Instagram. Until next time, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, and be constantly in prayer. Romans 12:12.